seeing numbers we've never seen in interest rates. We've never seen these numbers. Where are they coming from? Men should stop assuming that women don't have money. Phathu had social anxiety for the longest time of my life. I mean, I can actually do this. I mean, I left it now, man. Left it be. That's where I got humbled. Jesus.
Personal information. What? Yeah.
2 most important core programming languages and data science. Are you happy? No, you look so good. Speak life.
Oh, listen real.
Welcome to the Millennials Corner, where most of us are lost in a trance. What do you do, Buffet? To start today's episode, right, I just wanted to send a shout out to one of the amazing viewers who checked out our previous episode where we chilled with Pet, and he literally dissected the advertising space. In case you haven't checked that video, it's here, right? So click the button here. It's actually the side. Sorry, Buffet, it's the side. Click this and then catch up later that episode. So that Phathu is to say, and if you haven't commented or you'd like to be mentioned on our next episode, do leave a comment and tell us if there's anything in particular that you learned from these episodes. TMC Phathu has been on Father's Day for a minute, right? And that's why I'm so excited for this episode, because finally we have a female, a lady guest, right? So that calls for a celebration. Let's get it. She has a profound passion for numbers, right? She has a degree in mathematics and statistics, and she's currently pursuing an honors, am I right? An
Correct.
Honors in statistics. When we asked for her bio, she actually said, I think that numbers and I were a match made in heaven. You know, I don't know explain like exactly why she believes so. One of the other interesting things that you probably don't know about Phathu is that she's an Umuzi alumni, currently doing the most, working as a data scientist for F&B. Thank you so much for making the time to join us on TMC.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a long time coming.
Yo, Gunini.
What was delaying us?
Please, you tell me.
Msizi, you tell us.
Tell me.
So to ease you into this thing, this conversation, and to, set the mood, we usually have this thing in TMC, we ask you like very playful questions.
Oh, an icebreaker.
That's what icebreaker.
Yes.
So Msizi has done a brilliant work. Compiling the 2 riddles and 1 question. It is actually number heavy.
So yeeky.
If you multiply all the numbers on your phone, what answer do you get?
All the numbers on my phone.
Yeah.
0 is there. Anything you multiply by 0 is 0.
Love your work. Okay. Okay. The second one, Barry, how many times can you subtract 10 from 50?
4 times. No, wait, let me think. 10 minus 50 minus 10 the first time is 40. The second time is 30. The third time is 20.
When you minus it the second time, is it still a 50 though?
Jesus. Okay, you have me. 1. Am I right?
Yeah, you are right. Once I get, because when you do it the second time, it's no longer.
It's not 50 anymore.
Okay, sweet. So this one, it's actually numbers heavy, but I'm gonna try. I don't know if you remember this, but if you don't.
Oh, what, didn't you say 2? Okay, it's fine.
3. The last one is very numbers heavy, and it's based on the BODMAS rule.
BODMAS, okay. I love BODMAS.
Okay,
Let's
sweet.
do this.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Thank you for suggesting this for us. Solve this, right? 25 minus 4 times, open bracket, 7 plus 5, close bracket, divide by 4 plus 3.
Okay, what was in the bracket?
Okay, because I don't want to do that again, let me write it for you so you can have a look at it.
Okay, let me solve this. I got this. Small waters, guys.
Small water. See.
Please, it's easy. You need to do better. What's this? 7 plus 5. This is 10, 12. Divided by 4. 4 plus 3. So I will do this next. 4 times 12. 24, 48. Divided by 4. This will give me 12. 25 minus 12 will be 1, 3 plus 3, 16?
I don't know. Is it 16?
Oh, don't you have that? Okay, 16. The answer is 16.
Okay. Now we know that, okay, Sharp, this is your thing. You know, you do it for a living. That's why we gave you the most basic, or to prove it to us, or you can solve the grade 1 questions. I mean. But anyway, thank you so much for doing that, Lorena. Are you easy now?
I'm good.
Sure. So now that we know that, numbers is your thing, let's talk about who you are. Where did you come from? Let's talk a little bit about your upbringing.
Phathu. I guess, what can I say? Vendor speaking Christian.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, I identify as Christian. I'm a vendor speaking Christian. Born and raised in Soweto. I'm the oldest of 2. So I'm the firstborn. I have a younger brother who's 6 years younger than me. I guess I loved math, numbers since I was a kid. From the day I learned how to count. Come from a family of both mom and dad. Still together up till this day. So I guess I privileged in that sense. Yeah. I went to primary school in Klipspruit West. So Gikenlima Kalati.
Okay.
Right. I think I've always been a very reserved person growing up, a reserved child. Didn't really talk a lot. Grew into my talking era when I was getting older. And I've just always been an academic. I don't think I am anymore. Right? And then I've had friends when I was young, but I was kind of like bullied by friends because I was a softie, you know, I was very quiet, very reserved, just made sure that I pass koskolong, that's all. You know, I didn't really have a lot of social, I was not a social person, you know. I grew up socially awkward, you know, had social anxiety for the longest time of my life. And then I went to an academic high school back then it was called Raukol, Metropolitan Raukol. Now it's called UJ Metropolitan Academy. It's an academic school, so there's no sports. I don't know if there is now. I think there is sports. But back then when I was there was no sports at all. It was just academics, right? You needed to get a certain percentage to stay in the school, right? And we all did the same subjects from grade 10 through to matric. There was a pass mark, which in our school, it's a fail. Sure. So you can go to another school and move forward to the next grade. But within our school, you'd have to repeat that grade. Yeah. So there was a certain mark where I think it was 50% average. Was it 50? I think it was 50.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So if you got that or less, it's either you repeat a grade or you can go to another school and proceed. Sure. Right. And it was a great school. I loved it. I always thought that if I have kids, they're going to go to that school. I still really love the school and the values of the school, you know. Also, it is also it has a mental health clinic within the school because we know the kind of challenges that kids face, especially in academic spaces, right? When you start being so hard on yourself. Because I went from a primary school where I was a genius, getting 100% at everything.
Imagine. You know? Talk to me nice. 100% girl.
And then come to high school, that's where I got humbled because now I'm at my matches. Now I'm meeting people who are oh, you're getting 100%, we're getting 150. You get what I'm saying? And you didn't even know that it goes beyond. You get what I'm saying? So I think I got quickly humbled in high school academically. And I think when you go to varsity, you find people who are actually being humbled in varsity, which is scary because then that's where they start jumping off of buildings and all that kind of stuff. You get what I'm saying? So I think also them having that provision in high school where we had a mental health clinic, you could go to speak to a therapist and then be like, hey, I don't know this person that I've become. I'm not used to the marks that I'm getting. Do you get what I'm saying? Because the school would challenge you so much that it was preparing you for that varsity space. Do you get what I'm saying? And then after high school, I went to go study at the University of Pretoria. I'm a varsity dropout, by the way. I dropped out at some point. I left. So I was.
What were you studying when you dropped out?
I was studying mathematics. Yeah, so I was studying mathematical science, mathematical statistics. I think that's what it was called. And then in 2017, I dropped out, and then I moved back home. And then in 2018, UNISA opened late applications, and then I jumped on that because I didn't want to sit at home and do nothing. Right. And then I continued my degree in mathematics and statistics. So they call it a double major in UNISA. So I did mathematics and statistics at UNISA. And then 2019, I was bored. I wanted to do something. And then I came across an Umuzi link and clicked on it. I didn't know what these careers are, UX, what, you know? And the only one that spoke to me was data science. I was like, okay, I do statistics. And this is data. Statistics is data. Science, I saw phambili. You know? And then I clicked on it and I took a test. I love psychometric tests. I love these things that you're doing.
Yeah, sure. Because you kill them.
Yes.
Of course. Like, I'm too smart, Phathu. You guys gotta do better.
Yes. You know, so I love these tests. And I remember it was a day I was traveling home with my dad to Venda. He asked to go with me. So I'm a daddy's girl. I'm a big daddy's girl. So we were going home together and I was bored. I was just like, sitting at home doing nothing. Because UNISA is distance learning, right? So then I took those tests. It was nice. I finished them and then within a month or so, I got called into the interview, did the boot camp and then obviously, you know, the process, and then found myself at TIH. After TIH, I left and now I'm at FMB.
You know, you kind of like have summarized everything that we're going to talk about in this session. But I like it because like it sets a foundation of what people can expect. Right. I want to ask you a personal question about how you grew up. You said you grew up a very different kid. You were very reserved in school. You were fortunate to grow up in a family of both parents. Right. How do you think those two aspects of your life, growing up in a family with both parents and being this reserved kid in school who just wanted to, you know, study and pass, affected the person that you have become today?
I think like I said, I'm grateful to have grown up in a family with both parents, you know, and being the firstborn, you are a trial child, basically, right? Sure. So I was a trial child and I come from parents who are also like completely opposite characters, right? So my mom is more the talkative one. My dad is, yes. Sure. And then my dad is the quiet one. So I gravitated more towards his character when I was younger. And now I'm growing up into my mom, you know? Yeah. So it happens. So then I think that when I look back then and I look at what's happening today in today's world, I am so grateful. I'm so grateful because if I wasn't that child who was more book focused, more, I need to just, you know, it doesn't mean that I did not come across any challenges. Yeah. It doesn't mean that I was not problematic at some point. I've made some decisions. We made some choices that, you know.
I wonder what you did. Story for another day or off the record.
Off the record, yes. We'll take it offline.
I don't want you guys to know me like that.
not yet, right? So there's like a lot of challenges that as young people we face, right? That I feel like my character of being that reserved child has helped me to get to where I'm at. Yeah. Not to say that the non-reserved ones do not get to where I'm at or even further, you know, and sometimes even those characters are the ones that help them to get there, because sometimes in the world you need to fight. Okay. You need to fight. You can't just always be reserved, you know? So you have to have a balance of everything so that you can fight your way up to the top. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I am grateful to have grown up with both parents who are both very present. And I think also I can blame my reservation on a strict mom. Like, she was very loud, you know, and my thing was I just wanted to keep quiet. So for her to keep quiet, I have to obey.
You do the right thing.
I have to do the right thing. You get what I'm saying? I never felt like, oh, I need to jump out the window or whatever. I'm afraid of pain. All sorts of pain, emotional, physical, whatever. As long as if it's pain, I want nothing to do with pain. Do you get what I'm saying? So my reservations came from a space of, I don't want to bother anyone. I just want to be in a space where I'm at peace with everyone. Yeah. So having a strict mom also kind of pushed me to become that way. And for me personally, I think it has helped me to get to where I'm at today.
See, I like to hear that. I mean, like, at the end of the day, you know, like, I think it's very important and easy when you understand the kind of character that you need to put out at a specific point in time, you know, because it's not all situations that require you to be a loud person or a person who's, you know, outspoken. Some require you to be very reserved. And once you have mastered all those two personalities and you know when to bring the one that's relevant for each situation, that's how you win.
It's interesting that you must say that, because at some point I was seeing a therapist and she said to me that every person has 3 human beings in them. So there's a child in you, there's an adult in you, and there's I forgot the third one, but I'm just going to focus on these 2, right? That if you don't nurture the child, or if you don't heal the child in you, because obviously we've been through traumatic experiences. I don't think anybody's never been through a traumatic experience. It may vary, right? So in your child, if you don't heal that child, they will come out to embarrass you in your adult space. And how do they come out to embarrass you in your adult space? When you get triggered. When someone triggers you as an adult, because you didn't heal that child who maybe you're gonna act out. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's just like you have to know when the child can come out. So as an adult, your child can still come out when you wanna go play with your kids. We're a parent, right? Your kids wanna play, you're gonna go play with them, you're gonna take out the child in you, right? But then when it's time for them to obey you, the adult or the parent in you is gonna come out and say, yay.
I found this to be quite deep, you know, and I didn't take it lightly. That's why I wanted you to unpack it for us, person to person. You say that everything that you speak will manifest. Correct. So you need to be very careful about the things that you speak over yourself. So I'm not sure if maybe I've butchered that, you know, that motto phrase, but if I did, you can rephrase it for us. But I want to understand exactly, what do you mean by those words? Okay,
so my motto is speak life. I love this so much. Growing up Christian, right, I got to understand that what you actually say over yourself is what actually happens to you, right? You'll hear people in social spaces saying, especially like maybe when you start umjolo in relationships, right? And then people would say things like, how do you expect to be loved when you don't love yourself, right? So how does love happen? You speak good things about yourself, over yourself, right? And then that way you then learn to love yourself. And when you love yourself, then you are easy to also be loved by other people, right? Yeah. So when you speak positive things over yourself, then positive things are going to happen to you. But when you speak negative things over yourself, negative things are also going to happen to you, right? So whatever you say with your mouth, you are planting, right? So I think even in the Bible, it would say that the tongue it has a power of life and death. So life and death is in your tongue, right? So you can build with your tongue and you can break with your tongue.
That's true.
Even when you speak things over your kids, I feel like most parents don't really realize this, but when you are raising your child, you need to say nice things over your child. When are you going to be smart? When are you beautiful? When are this and that? When that child grows up, that stuff manifests over their lives, right? You start seeing things the way you speak, right? So if I start seeing you that way, then you also learn to start seeing yourself that way. Then you become that. And everyone around you will see you that way because you will behave the way you see yourself. Do you get what I'm saying?
Man, so much power. And I think so much power. I don't want to lie. I think the brain is so dumb, yet so powerful at the same time, because what you feed it's exactly what it will believe, right? And it translates or transcends that message into your body, right? Because, if your mind believes, you're lazy, you're dumb, you're not smart enough, you can't do it, your body does not have the energy to do it. You know what I mean? But once you now start speaking from a positive stance and say, I can do it, man. I mean, like, what is it that I don't have that other people do have? Then your body starts feeding itself that energy to say, okay, get up and do it. You know what I mean? And I think that is a very beautiful combination. What you speak will then influence what your brain believes, and then your brain will then tell your body how it should behave.
It's actually way bigger than all of us, because I think when I did an observation, right? So now I love Twitter. Yo, character Twitter, guys. Yo, right? So I once tweeted that men should stop assuming that women don't have money, right? And a lot of girls came for me. They were like, girl, when I stay rich, we're not broke. You get what I'm saying? And I think it was not perceived the way I wanted it to be perceived, right? Because my thing was that in as much as I may have money, I still want a man that has money, but he must not come to me thinking I'm broke and I have nothing, He must come to me knowing that he's going to add to whatever I have or whatever. You get what I'm saying? So in that, I then also observed the way the girls were coming at me, that you are speaking this over your life. It's so deep. You can't be speaking brokenness over your life, because that's where you end up being. Look at our faves. Bo Bonang, Bo Kanye Bao. Ever hear Bonang saying I'm broke?
Nah, bro, nah.
Excuse me, Kanye Bao was trending for money loves me. Money is attracted to me. Do you get what I'm saying? All those kind of things. You need to speak it over yourself and speak it over your life. And when I take it to a broader space, we are looking at our country. Our country is going through these interest rate hikes and all these things, right? All these things are coming for us because we have become a nation that is so comfortable with speaking bad and negative things of ourselves that it's happening even in the bigger space. It's happening in bigger things than us, things that are bigger than us. People who could easily afford houses are now complaining on Twitter and saying, yay, my bond went from 8,000 to 15,000 in the last 5 years.
Then I'm not buying a house.
Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Because now we've gotten so comfortable as a nation to speak negative things of our own country. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's manifesting now. We are living in a space where we are seeing numbers we've never seen in interest rates. We've never seen these numbers. Where are they coming from? What are we saying? What are we planting?
What are we believing?
What are we believing? Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. It's big. It's quite big. Like, that's how I see it. That's how I look at it.
Let's talk about your love for numbers. How did you get into the space of data science? When did you feel like this is really what I want to do and I'm doing it? Get sharp.
Yo, from the day I learned how to count, the day I discovered 1, 2, 3, 4, I was like, this is where I belong. Yeah. I don't like reading, guys. Yo, the buka. I don't like reading at all, right? I'm learning. I'm learning. But numbers have been my love. It made sense from BODMAS. It made sense. I was like, life is like, this is life, guys. Like, how is this not making sense to everybody else? Like, these make so much sense. I love, love, love numbers from the day I learned how to count, right? And how about the careers? What do you want to be when you grow up? I didn't know these technical careers. In the time, now I think I said a pilot. because it was the only space where I just felt like maybe I'd fit in. I didn't even want to be a doctor because I was like, I don't want to cut bodies, and also in my mind, I was like, hey, you have to read a lot. I don't want to be a lawyer because I was like, there's so many books.
Hey, bruh.
Every time I think of these other things, I'm just like, the book
That mentioned it. What I did, and then drop out. The books are too thick.
Exactly. One more now. Guys, I was just like, no ways, right? So I was just like, pilots maybe would work. I was like, at least I'll be flying, traveling from Unati, you know what I'm saying? And in my mind, I was just like, maybe those things, it's saying one of the numbers somewhere. So I'll be dealing with numbers somewhere, And then when I was in grade 9, there was a youth event at church and I went, and it was the first time ever where I heard about a career called actuarial science.
Yeah.
Right. So they had invited a speaker. I don't remember his name, but it was my first time hearing about something called actuarial science. I was like, all I heard in that day was maths. Literally, from the minute that guy said actuarial science, he was just talking about maths this, maths that, maths this. And I was just like, this is where I belong. Yeah. This is where I belong. You get what I'm saying? And that made so much sense to me. I didn't even hear the money part. and although they are important, all I heard was maths. And from that day, I was just like, this is it. This is where I belong. And then obviously try to work towards it. And then when I went to go study at tax at UP, I applied for mathematics. I think I also applied for actuarial science, but I knew at the time it was my mics are not make sure. I'm telling you, high school humbled me. I got humbled in high school. I was humbled in high school. High school humbled me. High school showed me that this is life. Yeah, in life, you will fail. Do you get what I'm saying? And I failed in life. Do you get what I'm saying? So,
by your standards, you didn't fail, but by your standards.
No, by my standards back then. But when you get to varsity, then you fail by everyone's standards. You get a 0 and you're like, you sweat. So I went to study mathematics at UP. And in my thinking, what everyone was thinking who was studying mathematics in the time, because we studied the 4-year course, right? So we were all just like, if we can just get through and jump into actuarial science. Most of us, like majority of us, were just like, I just want to do this and then jump into actuarial science. Because that's how like the course was also advertised. Like it's a bridging course into actuarial science for those who did not get through direct, right? So some of us did eventually. And then I think I attended a few actuarial science classes. They were all 7 a.m. classes, by the way. And in every class in the morning, there's a spot test of some sort. Oh, right.
Every single class.
Yes. So you can't even get there late because by the time you get there, they're done, And the test was also timed. I think it was a 5-minute test.
Does it contribute towards your final?
Yes, it did, And obviously because at that point I'd missed a lot. Oh, Mom.
No, but you did now. You've made up for those times.
I missed a lot of those classes. And I was just like, no, actuarial science is not for me. I was like, this actuarial science thing is not for me. I'll stick to the mathematics side of it. So I tried to push the mathematics and statistics at tax. And then eventually I dropped out because it was kuningi. And it was getting kuningi, And then luckily that's when I then moved into UNISA and did my mathematics and statistics degree there. And I completed that. But during the whole thing, that's when the whole story of me getting into Umuzi came about. My first time ever seeing the words data science was on that Umuzi link. Okay. Right. I had no idea what it was. I didn't even research. Trust me. I was just like, this is it. You get what I'm saying? I was like, this is it. And then I clicked on the link. I did the test. I was like, this is mad.
When you don't see no red flags.
Exactly.
You're like, I'm afraid to let's go. Yeah.
All the way in. I did the test. They were nice. It was maths. I enjoyed them. Everything was nice. And I was traveling. Understand? I'm on the road. I'm here. Yeah. My dad he doesn't even know that I'm out here taking tests, but I'm out here taking tests. It's nice, kumnandi, and I was just like, okay, this is it. I think this is where I belong. And then Then obviously we did the whole boot camp, and I started working at TIH. Okay. And yeah, it's been great. I didn't like coding. So there was a coding course at UP. C++ was the language.
Yeah.
I hated coding. Woo! I hated programming with all of my heart. And we all just wanted, it was called computer science. The module was computer science. We all just wanted to be done with that module. Like that module felt like someone pulling you back. Yeah. You know? But then, yeah, we got through it. And then I didn't know that programming would revisit me in my career.
Yeah. That was my next question, Jorge. Doesn't understanding like programming on like that deeper level help you, like be a better data scientist? Because you probably build scripts for things.
Yeah. I think the space that I'm in now, I somewhat enjoy it. And I say somewhat because, it has its days. It has its days. It can be very technical, very, very technical, right? And like I said, I'm growing into my mom. So I'm growing into the yappy, right? And I think I enjoy more the part where I deliver what I did more than the doing what I'm doing.
Oof, yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah, because I love problem solving. I love getting a result, And there are times where while you're doing this, you feel like, am I ever going to get there? Yeah. Am I ever going to get there?
But I think you get that feeling right before you start the task. Once you are in it, doing it, I feel it's much more enjoyable than just thinking about starting to do it. Yeah. That's when you realize, it wasn't as hectic as I thought it would be, Yeah. So, Aribueka, I want to ask you a question about what data science is, right? But before we jump into that, since you mentioned Umuzi, having been one of the catalysts for you getting into the, data science space, what change in perspective occurred to you, from a girl who was just fresh out of varsity to the dropout? You're probably thinking, fuck, man, did I fail my parents? Did I fail myself? What's next for me now? You know what I mean? What kind of change in perspective did switching into now from varsity to Umuzi, where you're independent and you need to have a level of discipline in order to make it? What was that kind of transition?
It wasn't a hectic transition, actually, because Umuzi it's a learnership, right? And there's a lot of young people around my age, right? Others younger. So it felt again like a varsity space, right? So it brought back that feeling from tax, right? Where I'm learning with peers. We are learning towards a space with peers, right? And it was great because it came with a little bit of, a little bit, But yeah, it wasn't like a big transition, but it was beautiful to find myself growing into something that could be a part of me for the rest of my life. This is where now a career starts, right? Because not all degrees, not all diplomas, not all things that we study in varsity, what they're named, they do not all necessarily leave us in a space where, I studied mathematics and statistics. I'm not a mathematician. Yeah. I'm not a statistician, right? But I studied that and it brought me into data science, right? So then it brought a bit of light to the tunnel. I felt like I was in a tunnel. I like this tunnel. I'm enjoying this travel because I'm doing what I enjoy. But am I going to see the light? Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Am I going to see the light? And I think then being in Umuzi, that's when the light was brought to me. That's when a picture was painted to me. And that's when I actually realized, okay. I can actually do this. This is nice. Yeah.
I think it was a very important phase where you understand, okay, sharp, I might be, in the darkness right now, but I'm enjoying it here, So even when the light comes, it becomes so vivid and enjoyable because you're like, oh, okay, so all this time I was in the darkness. This is what I was working towards, Hence, I think it's very crucial, Jorge, everything that you're doing, every stage that you find yourself in life, enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
Because unless there's something else you could be doing with your time, but just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Data science. What's that for like somebody like Phathu who started Go Umuzi, as I understand it, that first day Yanka test? How would you explain data science as a field?
So I think let's think of a puzzle, right? Think of puzzle pieces. I love puzzles, by the way, also.
Oh, if you love puzzles, there's this line here, Benna Boy. I'm not sure which song is it, eh? Are you are the only piece I'm puzzling.
Wow!
Ne?
Wow!
Okay,
Okay, that's actually very powerful coming to what I'm about to say. Okay, right? So I have like 2,000 piece puzzles, right? I've only done one. The other one, I still need my heart to be in the right place.
You finished it?
Yes, and I finished it in 4 days.
B is still working on his. He's had it for 2 months now. How many years? 4 months.
But I told you it was possible to finish like a puzzle in 4 days.
We finished 1,000 pieces, done, eh?
How many?
1,000 pieces. They're on that table.
Okay.
On that table, yeah. It took us a while. It took us a while.
It took me 4 days, guys, and it was festive season, so I was just there, like, doing my puzzle. So imagine that 1,000-piece puzzle. Each piece of the puzzle is data, right? It's all over the place. It's not together. It's just all over the place. What you need to do, you want those puzzles to come together and give you information, right? Yeah. So what data scientists do, they use different tools, different skill sets, and all these things, bring it all together to put those pieces together and bring about an informative picture. I think that's the best way I can explain what data science is. Yeah. So we're painting a picture for you using all these pieces of data that we have and then just bringing them all together.
Sure. Let's say, because currently you are in the finance space, right? What would that data be most useful for?
So in the current space that I'm in, I work with call centers, right? So in those call centers, we have agents, right? And with agents, those agents speak to customers, right? And when they speak to customers, that's data, right? So we have to have customer data. We have to have agent data. We have to bring that together. We have to know what the content of the call was. We have to know what the request was or what we wanted from them or what they wanted from us. We have to know how long the call was handled for.
Yeah.
Oh, how many customers does an agent connect to, right? How many times does this customer speak to us? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So all of those different things, all of those different pieces, we're bringing them together and then we're going to paint a picture. And then that picture, we present it to business and say, listen, you have 10 agents and these 10 agents can only speak to 100 customers in a day. You desire to speak to 1,000 customers a day. Are you happy? Are you happy with this? No, I'm not. So what do? Okay, maybe if you hire 5 more agents, then you would be able to reach a certain number. Do you get what I'm saying? Because there's also factors in the day. An agent is at work. At work, we need to take lunch breaks.
That's facts.
At work, you come in at a certain time. There's tea breaks for them in between. Do you get what I'm saying? There's a customer who they could speak to for an hour and a customer they could speak to for 10 minutes. So all those different pieces, we are bringing them together. We are going to show business and be like, on average, this is how much your agents are spending a time on a call. Sure. There's also when an agent is done talking to us, when a customer is done talking to an agent, then the customers give us a score. We see, I'm happy with the service I got from this agent, or I'm not happy with the service I got from this agent.
What I'm picking up from what you say is that this data is not only used to optimize for the customer's experience. it's also used to improve the processes within the operations of the business.
Correct.
So for somebody who is interested in becoming a data scientist, what qualities do you think they would need to have?
Big on analytical skills. Yeah. You have to be really, really analytical. Like the way you analyze situations, life. You know, they like to say, schedulally data scientists, because yay, but now analyze. But I'll analyze. So you have to be very analytical, you know? You have to analyze everything. Like now you brought up the quality thing. It's a piece of the puzzle that I have to analyze. You get what I'm saying? Someone else is going to bring up something else. It's a piece of the puzzle that I have to analyze. I have to have all these cards on the table. I'm going to go present this data to big bosses, the CEO, whatever. By the time, when they ask me a question, I have to at least have looked at that aspect. Yeah. There's so many different features. That's why there's even feature selection in part of the processing of the data.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have to be really big on analytics. Numbers, guys. Like, you know, you have to know your numbers. You have to be able to interpret your numbers, right? So you have to know your numbers, you have to know your statistics. There's things called averages. In the normal world, we say average, but in statistics language, we'd say mean, right? Sure. There's things that you have to look at. You have to look, if there's missing points, are you going to take the median of the data or the mean of the data or the mode of the data? Yeah. What statistics?
If you didn't make it past grade 10 statistics, then we lost you. Nah,
you know, the probabilities, you know, all these things. You must look at the chances of, you must know your statistics, basically, right? Programming skills, you must know languages. And I think the two most important core programming languages in data science would be Python and R. Right? Yeah. There's more that's coming up. There's more that people actually enjoy better. But then Python actually comes up a lot, right? But in most corporate spaces, like the one that I'm currently in and the one I was in previously, we still work with SAS a lot, right? Yeah. So SAS, I don't know what SAS stands for.
When you said SAS, I just thought of software as a service, you know, like those industries. Then I was like, nah, come on, guys. Start there, programming language.
You know, I don't know what SAS stands for, but it's
software.
That is an industry, like a product type. So
it's statistics and something.
Yeah, coding language.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Statistics and
something studio, yes. Because there's even a SAS studio, yes. Yeah. Right, so SAS is the one that they use a lot because it's safe.
Okay.
Right. It's not open source.
And you're working with data, so you need a
safe space. Yeah. You need a safe space because with open source languages like Python and R, they don't really guarantee data privacy and all this stuff. And we are working with like customer data here. We have ID numbers. We have account numbers. We have how much you have in your bank account.
Bro, we have where you stay.
We have where you stay. You get what I'm saying? All the data is very, very important. Maybe it's on POPIA, what?
Yeah, POPIA, the protection of personal information. What? Yeah.
You know? So all of that stuff, I think they feel much safer using SAS as opposed to using my Python and R and all this stuff. But some companies are integrating into such spaces, right? Yeah. So I don't know how they are finding safety in those spaces, but they are like integrating into working in open source languages because they are much quicker. They are, I don't want to say easy to use, but they're very, very fast with regards to generating results because we want to solve problems, right? We want to move forward. We don't want to stay in one problem forever, right? Yeah.
Okay, so those are the programs that allow you to be agile in your...
Yeah, and communication. You need to be able to communicate because in as much as most techies are very reserved, Phathutshedzo and all this stuff, in data science, you're going to have to find yourself in a space where you're going to have to interpret to bosses. You're going to have to tell bosses that I ran a model and this is what I'm getting. And they're going to ask you questions. What does it mean? Right? You can't just say, the regression of this. They don't know regression. They didn't study
They
statistics.
don't care about how it's happening, but what does it mean?
What does it mean? And you have to tell them what it means. Yeah. You have to tell them how is it making them money. You have to tell them how we're getting more customers from this. You have to tell them our customers are happy because of this. You know, you can't just say, now I'm getting this number. What does that number mean? I'm getting 0. What? In Ketselang, 0. What is it doing for me?
Bring it back to the ROI. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So let's take it like a day in the life of a data scientist, right? Like you go officing. What would be the typical activities that you'd carry out?
Sure, guys.
Like the most
there
mundane...
isn't necessarily like a day in the life of, you know, we do a lot of things, but essentially there's a process in which we use to work. Right. Yeah. So our process of work is, number one, you have to have a relationship with your data. And how do you create that relationship with the data? You clean the data pre-processing. Yeah. That's what it's called, right? So coming back to our puzzle analysis, we all have different ways of solving a puzzle, right? Someone would want to say that's a puzzle that has a sky and whatnot. Someone would want to put all the blues together first, put all the browns together, like color coordinate first. You get what I'm saying? Someone would say, I want all the corner pieces first and all the side pieces first, and then cover that and work your way in. Someone just wants to start and work their way out. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's the pre-processing. That's where you get to understand your data, understand what goal you're working towards, right? And also understand the problem. Right? Understand the problem of what's happening and all this stuff. And in all of those things, your methods of understanding, we all have different methods. Sure. In call center environments, you'd find that maybe I want to do what a quality assurer does. I want to hear what is happening. I want to understand why these calls are lasting this long, right? I don't want to just go with the data and say, okay, it is what it is.
Yeah, sure.
I'm getting 10 minutes per call or whatever. I want to understand what was the content of this 10 minutes per call. Sure. Do you get what I'm saying? Was it disconnected somewhere? Or
why are you taking so much of the company's time on a call?
Do you get what I'm saying? All of those things. Because there would be outliers. You'd find that agents are supposed to log in at 8, and then there's this one who logged in at 7. Why? It's an outlier. And does that outlier from 1 million records of data, does it only form one outlier from the million, or does it form 100,000? Mm-hmm. And what are you going to do with it? Are you going to remove the 100,000 outliers, or are you going to put it in your data? And then are you going to put it in your data and then use it, include modes, medians, means into it? You know, you have to, this is the pre-processing of the data. You're building a relationship with your data. You are understanding your data. You're understanding what you're working with. You're understanding the goal that you're working towards.
Because sometimes once you understand what your goal is, you save yourself time focusing on metrics that don't really help you towards your situation. Correct. Yeah.
And then there's data visualizations. This is where you also then build pictures for yourself to understand the data even further, right? And then we do the prediction models where you do statistical models. Then this is where there's things like decision trees, logistic regressions, and all this stuff, right? And in that, you also have to train your data. There's a percentage that we train, there's a percentage that we test, and also that you must also have the right percentages as well. Don't take too much from the training, don't take too much from the testing. You get what I'm saying? You must adjust it the way it should be so that you get the good results, the results that you need from the data. And then after that, there's a part where you have to interpret that data to business, right? Yeah. And sometimes business would say, then you have to go back and do the whole process again, go back and be like, okay, maybe the training and test was not right. I must fix this and that, Because you also, business is also your clients, so you have to make them happy. So sometimes you have to go through the whole process again.
You demonstrate a really deep understanding for what you do, right? And I wonder what it takes. Is it passion? Is it just like relentless learning. Like, or is it the money? But how does one get to a level where they are so immense and understand, like demonstrate such a deep level of understanding towards what they do?
I want to say passion, but now when I say passion, it's because I'm thinking about it now, because now you just mentioned it. I never thought I had such a deep understanding of what I do. I never thought I did. So maybe I am passionate about this. Hey, maybe I am.
Yeah.
So I think also it's what I do. You get what I'm saying? Like 9 to 5, sometimes work till late. It dominates my life. It's most of what I do in my life. Not that I don't balance. I make sure that I balance, but it dominates my life, and it's what I enjoy doing. It's in numbers. I have to love what I'm doing when I wake up in the morning. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think also just learning, continuing to learn. I think when you ask about the requirements, you must also be open to learning all the time. And I remember when people would ask me, Witty, so how do I get into data science? Don't you get bored? Don't you? I'd be like, Google is my best friend. Guys, just know how to Google. Know how to Google. But now we say ChatGPT is my best friend. Right? Now we say ChatGPT is my best friend, So I think when you are always finding solutions and you're always seeing like things blossoming out of what you're doing, then it motivates you to want to do it more, to want to do it again.
In as much as you your eyes just become super bright when you talk about this, there are those challenges that you come across gospani. Let's talk a little bit about those.
Sure, guys. Like I said, I work at F&B and so I think it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing, especially for our customers, because we have a lot of data privacy, right? So getting access to data is a problem for me, right? It's a good thing for you. For me, it's a problem, right? Because you have to go through this and that, like the protocol setting. It's just a whole lot to get to a space where I'm like, okay, I finally have customers' data. Now I can do an analysis, or I can clean the data or whatever, right? So that's one of the challenges. And sometimes you get data which is just too much. Like, it's a lot of data. I mean, if you're looking at call records, chat records, whatever, it's a lot of data. And having to work with that and having to find small anomalies, small abnormal things, it's just like stress sometimes, But yeah, like at the end of the day, essentially, it's a great thing. Homonati keeps, homonati. But yeah, like just data access, working with big data, and sometimes also like finding people to talk to, like who do I ask when I want this? Who do I go to when I need this? IT problems. My computer's crashing because I'm running this big thing, and it's been running for so long. And now it's just, I don't know what's going on. Sure. When you're clicking, it's not clicking anymore. It's like you're just there like, But yeah, that happens. And sometimes it's how you're using too much space because you are allocated this much space. Now you must cut down your data and make sure that you run very small amount of data. And maybe that's not helping you because you want to run the whole thing at once. We're moving into a world of automation. So we definitely do want to run big things in a short space of time and not have all the hassles.
Absolutely. Because the quicker you get to your insights, the better you can, optimize your services or the I wanted to ask, since Rekatubu challenges, you mentioned ChatGPT, who is your new friend. What I mean?
Bestie.
And now I want to talk about the resources that you use to simplify your work, or maybe to mitigate some of the challenges that you encounter, most spanning, which you just mentioned. Let's talk about those resources that you probably, if it wasn't for them, your life would be hell, bro.
It's an ongoing learning journey. Yeah. You are continuously learning. So Udemy comes through big time. At Umuzi, we started with data camp, right? And data camp was also really, really good. Some of these places you have to pay for. So at work, luckily, they give us licenses, and then luckily we can access those, right?
Must be nice.
There's also LinkedIn Learning, which is what we used in my previous place of work. And yeah, there's Udemy, Datacamp, LinkedIn Learning. Yeah, those are the ones that I use mostly. Like Udemy especially. It's like, yeah, it's the one that I go to the most.
So how did you hear about what's this, ChatGPT? Let's just briefly talk about that. Like, how did you hear about it, and then what are you using it for in relation to Spanisa How?
Yo, ChatGPT, social media. Social media, that's where I heard about it. But I was very reluctant for the longest time. I was like, I'm not going to use this thing, because, there was also words around laziness around it, or it's going to make you lazy. You get what I'm saying? Like, social media was just the place where it was just making a big buzz, right? And then recently I had a problem, which I called a colleague about, right? And he was like, why don't you use ChatGPT? And I was like, no. And then he actually showed me, he shared his screen and he showed me where he just asked a simple question, and I was like,
mind blown, right?
What? What do you mean? What? And then I just jumped on it. I just really jumped on it, and I loved it. And how does it help? It doesn't make you lazy. I don't think it makes you lazy, right? Because if you don't understand what you're asking for, you won't understand what it's giving.
I think it actually makes you much more efficient, because for information that you would have waited for 2 days for someone to give you, or you would have researched for 3 days, ChatGPT can do it for you within seconds.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And you also have to understand what it's giving you, right? Because if also you don't understand the contents of what it's giving you, then it'll flop. You will flop, right? So understand what you're asking, understand what you're getting.
Understand what you need.
Understand what you need, right? And I feel like it really does make our lives a lot easier. And we get work done much quicker. And that means it takes the load, it makes the load lighter.
Yeah. I mean, now we have more time to actually go to the coffee shop, because I know the task can get here for 3 hours. I'm going to do it for 1 hour.
Correct.
ChatGPT has got my bag. Yeah. And now I can go to the park, play with my kids.
Yes, you get more time to yourself, more time, which is very important.
Absolutely.
You really need to nurture your mind. You need to nurture yourself. You need to take care of yourself. You can't be consumed by work. Work is great and all, but you need a balance. You need to have a work-life balance.
Which is why I strongly believe, Jorge, the most successful people are actually lazy, but they are constantly looking for ways to simplify what they do every day. And that's what AI is coming into our lives as, So if you are not using AI, hey, my brother, I don't know, my brother, hi. And obviously, you're not going to learn everything at once. It just takes time. And then some of the AI resources or the AI applications, I feel like you need to use them over and over again to understand how they could actually simplify your life. Notion, for instance, I got direct Notion. I was using the free tier. Used it over and over, but because previously Nanzikile reluctant to using it, I was like, this is admin. Now I have to work and go update on Notion, what I did vandaag, all the notes, I have to keep them there. But then the more I used it, the more I realized, this is one central space where I can manage my life. I can manage my work. Now I don't have, disjointed places where I go to learn about where am I currently, what do I need to get done. I can just go on Notion and I have all that information about that makes me more efficient, and it reduces the levels of anxiety, because now I feel like I'm organized and I have my life in control.
Yeah.
You can never fully be organized.
Never
be organized, but I think with all these tools, the more I learn how to make them an extension of my everyday life, the better it's becoming.
Correct.
Okay, guy, I want to become a data scientist. I'm so hellbound. Like there's nothing Elengor is going to disrupt the boy now. What advice would you give me?
I think it goes back down to the other chat that we had now of what skills do you need to be a data scientist, right? It's not a thumbs up career. Please, you don't just data scientist. You know, it needs work. You need to work. You need to love what you're doing. You need to enjoy what you're doing, right? You need to be open to learning, right? You need to expose yourself. Go to career workshops, data science workshops, seminars, webinars, right? Attend those. Familiarize yourself with data scientists, big names in data science who are on LinkedIn, right? And reach out to those that you can.
Yeah.
Get a mentor.
You got one?
I have one.
Okay, Paramo mentioned I have to go about the question.
Yeah. So you have to have a mentor. You have to have someone who is guiding you through this whole process, because there are times where you can feel like, you know, but yeah, you need to have people that you look up to, talk to them if you can reach them, and always be open to learn. Be very analytical. Check yourself first. Are you analytical outside of the career itself, right? Are you an analytical person? Do you analyze every situation? Are you an overthinker, basically?
Yeah.
Are you overthinking? If you're an overthinker, welcome.
Do you spend a lot of time figuring out why things happen?
Correct. Do you enjoy solving problems, right? When someone presents you with a problem, are you out here thinking, okay, what do we do? You know those steps that they taught us, go life orientation, how to solve problems. Do you follow those steps? Are you trying to do that? Like every time someone presents you with a problem, are you like always, if we do this and put this together, then let's see. You get what I'm saying? But my decision thinking type of things, you get what I'm saying? You know, and are you agile? Are you happy with working in an environment where things can just change at any time? Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah.
How does this affect your personal relationships, right? You have acknowledged the fact that you're a very analytical person, and sometimes you can miscalculate situations.
Correct.
How does that quality affect your personal life?
Yo, guys, you know, I think with romantic relationships, it has been, for me personally, I would say beneficial. For them, they'd say problematic.
Yeah. Because you're going to tell me, in 5 months, I bought you flowers 5 times.
Yes.
Why couldn't you do it 6 times? Because on average, it means...
So who's getting flowers in the other time?
Hectic, my life.
You get what I'm saying? Where are the other flowers going to?
Wow.
You know, you also have attention. You can't, how much attention are you getting? Like, in the beginning, I got 80% attention. Now I'm getting 50. What's it going on? Where's the 30%? Where's the 30%? You get what I'm saying? You know, so, it does happen where, like, it can be a bit problematic for other people, you know, with you're just here, you know, like you want too much, you know, you're analyzing too much and all this stuff, you know. And then, it's just, it can be very challenging. But if you have people around you who understand you and people who actually want to nurture into your growth, right, then it works. I don't think it should be a problem. At the same time, I'm not justifying that being an over-analytical person is okay, right? You also need to have a limit, right? You can't bring your work into social spaces, right? So you also have to be a very considerate person, right? Obviously, communication is important. I did stress that even at work, we communicate as data scientists. So you must communicate with the people that you are with in relationships, friendships, whatever. Communicate your feelings, communicate, I think this way when you do this. This is how I feel when this and this happens, right? And then come to an understanding together and work towards it. Personally, I don't think it's a problem for me, but with the people that I have in my life, it works.
Yeah. Now that you've brought that topic up, I actually want to say something I learned not so long ago, right? I always hear people say, communication, communicate this, communicate that. It makes situations better. Communications is good, but comprehension is better.
Correct.
Right? Because you can you communicate all you like, but if the information is putted onto like deaf ears, or maybe the person you're trying to communicate to does not really understand what you're communicating from your point of stance, then it communication might not even be of value at that point.
Correct.
Are there ways that we can communicate to people such that they understand? Can you make somebody understand what you're communicating?
It goes back to the beauty of data science. You understand your data, the pre-processing. The pre-processing. You must understand the people. Understand who this person is. Do you understand? Like, understand how you communicate with this one person. And I'm also going to bring it back to my Christian space, right? We all have one God and we all worship one God, right? However, the 4 of us in this room, 5 of us in this room, we can all have 5 different relationships with one God, right? Sure. So how God has a relationship with you may be different with how he has a relationship with me. Parents as well. Parents don't have the exact same relationship with all their kids.
Yeah, that's
right.
Right.
There's different ways in which mom would communicate to you and different ways she'd communicate to me. Right? Yeah. Because she understands you. She did the pre-processing. She cleaned the data. Yeah. She realized that this one, when it comes to the million records, 100,000 is missing. Yeah. So am I going to make it a mean or a mode or a median? I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying? She balances that out and realizes that, okay, when it comes to guy, so then for me to balance it, I have to communicate to you a certain way. And when you say comprehension, I normally say the manner of communication, right? The manner in which I communicate to you. Tone is important. Words are important. All those things are very important. I can't now be telling you that I'm here to solve your fashion problem and then I start talking about your academics.
Okay, are you saying my fashion sense sucks?
Wait, you dress so nice. I was trying to just quickly think, no, you look so good. I love this.
Standard
procedure.
But I gotta be sure what you're trying to say.
No.
And also reading between the lines, man.
Correct.
That could be very dangerous.
Communication right now, right? And then we needed to have comprehension. Do you get what I'm saying? Exactly.
Nice. And if I didn't understand, I asked her, this is what you're trying to say.
Exactly. And then tomorrow I'll some phone Nelly for another episode because Nike said how, and it was not even. Do you understand?
Sure. Our wardrobe must do better.
But I told you.
You told me that I'm hot.
No, not your hot.
No, but the pants are not showing. Because what you were saying. There's too many patterns going on there. You got stripes. You got squares.
Guys, winter, please. Winter we overdress.
But I did compliment your upper body. I was like, your upper body makes sense.
Okay.
It does make sense.
So, Phathu, let's send a shout out to your mentor. Well, we don't want to know where they stay, but we just want to know who they are and how they've influenced the strong, career-driven lady you've become. And then after that is done, please tell us where in the corporate ladder you are, or how far you want to climb, and what is it that you are doing in the meantime to make sure whether you get to that level.
Okay, so I have a lot of mentors, right? I have a lot of mentors. I have so many of them. Most of them are in church, right? So there's Dr. Gloria Mbokota. She's not a data scientist. So my mentors that I'm actually talking to now are not necessarily data scientists, but there's one that I am yet to meet who is an actual data scientist. Okay. Her name is Grace. I haven't met her, so that will be for the next episode, ne?
Okay, sure. So you've already booked the date?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Nice.
Trust.
I love your
work.
Right?
And then Dr. Gloria Mbokota from church. There's also Calvin Mbizani from church, and there's also Pastor Tabo from church. Those are like my second, third, fourth parents, people who, whenever I make a career move, they're my people. When I need a reference for a new job, they are my people. You get what I'm saying? That's where also, I think I have a bit of a philanthropy thing inside of me somewhere there, you know. So those are the kind of people that I look up to when it comes to such things, when I need advice for career guidance and all stuff. Even though they don't understand data science as a whole, they are in the industry somewhere and they know how to navigate these type of things.
Sure. And I think it also helps in life, you know, in general, to have mentors in different spaces, you know, because we just don't want to become going to grow in career spaces, only want to grow in our personal spaces, you know, how we engage with the world and our perspective towards the world, because we exist outside our careers. So Aribu, about how far you're climbing?
Yo, to the top. We are going higher and higher. So I'm currently doing my honors in statistics, right? I do want to do an MBA. Yeah. And with this weekend being Youth Day weekend, oh Lord, I've been meeting doctors, PhDs and all this stuff, you know, and I think we might just go for the red gown, guys.
Hey, Rafid.
We might just go for the red gown. We might just be headed there. You know, I was inspired a lot, and Mamfigile from church, who taught me from Children's Church, she had a story at one of the events I attended this weekend, and guys, like, no, that red gown, I think we're going for it.
Our brain is so dumb because now her mom figile, like figile mbalula just clicked in.
So I definitely want to see myself at the top. I want to be a director. I've always said that, you know, like I remember my first time deciding that I want to be director. Yeah. We were going for those TIH interviews, and I remember I Googled TIH, and what popped up on my screen was the list of the directors. And I saw, I think like 2 or 3 black women. I was like, me. That's gotta be me. You get what I'm saying?
Keep the seat warm for me.
Like please, you know, I was like, I want to be there. Like my name, when I pop out on the internet, I'm the director of, you get what I'm saying? So I want to be there. And speaking on philanthropy. I want to find myself in spaces where I am giving back. They call it pay it forward, go umuzi. Definitely want to find myself in a space of giving back. I think one thing I didn't mention is that I used to tutor mathematics, right? So when I was done with work, I'd go tutor mathematics to high school learners and all that stuff, right? So I used to do it a lot also before I joined umuzi through Dr. Gloria's organization. And it empowers me to see like myself empowering young people as well. You get what I'm saying? So just giving back what I can, because I think math is so easy. I want to have more people thinking math is easy. You get what I'm saying? I once had this amazing student who made me realize that what I'm doing is not in vain, because when I met her, she was getting 30s in maths. And she hated the subject. She was like, oh my gosh, this is. And then in the second term, so I met her in the beginning of the year. In the second term, she'd moved up to 50%, right? In the third term, towards the end of the year, she was getting 70s. She was getting 70s. Do you understand? And I love the fact that she got to a point where she didn't even need me anymore. She was like, I'm good.
Sure.
And I want that. I want to get you to a point where you don't need me anymore. And you're just like, I got it.
Yeah.
I love what I'm doing now.
And I think it's very great what you're doing, because what might have happened in that kid's brain, you know, like this is just an assumption, could have probably been, I'm inspired by this woman.
Correct.
I want to be like her.
Correct.
So if she's so good at math, why can't I be good at math?
Do you get it?
Know what I mean?
Do you understand? Yes.
Yeah, and also departing those kind of like smaller things that you needed to do on a daily basis in order to be as good as you are in math, they kind of like realize, oh, it's not impossible actually.
Correct.
You know, and you start doing them, and the more you do them, you start enjoying them, and it becomes like easy. Keep giving. Please keep giving.
I will.
Yeah.
But the time organization, you guys, I want to do so many things. I'm just, I'm excited for the future.
Sure.
So definitely.
I love to hear that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to. now we know everything about you, Pat. You know, only apart from the stuff that you're gonna share in the next episode when you come back. There's one of the things that are a part of our today lives, and I wanted us to touch on it before Rekwala, and that is social media. And most people would say it's destructive. Some would argue it's constructive. Some would say it is what you make it, right? What do you think about this era that we're living in, where social media is just like a part of literally every moment?
Sure. Social media is, I always say it's how you use it and what you're using it for, right? Personally, I left Facebook when I was like in grade 11, right? And because the reason why I did that was because I realized that I don't want the space to consume me. So whenever I get to a space where I feel like I'm being consumed by something, I don't like being addicted. Number one, I don't have addictive nature. That's what I always tell myself. You're not a person who gets easily addicted to anything. But once I start feeling like, if I don't have this app in my phone, I can't, I delete it. So I got rid of Facebook when I was still in high school. I only came back a few times because I was doing some organizations and I needed to be in the social media and all this stuff, right? And I think know yourself, number one. Know yourself. It can be very informative. It can be, especially Twitter. I enjoy Twitter, right? I tweet a lot because I talk a lot, right? But can I live without Twitter? Yes. Did I tweet today?
Nope. Did you die today?
Did I die today? No. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you can live without these spaces, right? You can use it as a space of information. Restrict yourself. Don't follow certain things and pages that are not going to bring any value to your life. We're not going to lie. Social media is the way in which we're communicating these days. I don't even watch TV, guys, but I will know what's happening because I'm onto it. I will be the one saying, did you see this and this? You get what I'm saying? I update my parents who are always watching the news or I'll update them before it's even airing. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Because that's the power of it. It's very powerful. It's very informative. But what are you using it for? You get what I'm saying? And it can be very detrimental, very, very detrimental to society, because sometimes people get pressure from social media. Like, there's places where, Instagram is for images and pictures and all that stuff, right? So what do you use it for? Are you using it for content of that kind of stuff? Or are you using it to get something from it? Are you growing from all of that stuff? Or is it just putting you under pressure and more pressure? Are you under a lot of pressure? Know yourself. Understand what is happening in these spaces. Understand if this place is bringing you some growth, if it's bringing you some knowledge, if it's helping you get somewhere in life. If not, you can just delete the app. You don't need to have it. Delete the app, focus on what you need, and you'll be fine.
Well, sweet. Thank you so much for sharing that. Social media can be detrimental, can be very constructive. It just check your data. Check check what you're getting from it. Because, with everything in life, it's very important like a retrospective moment where you check, okay, how is this adding into my life? Is it making me more depressed? Or is it making my life worth living? Then that's when you can make a decision. But you don't need to be on all platforms, to be honest. If it's not making you money, then it's chowing from your money. Okay, Phathu, so that is all we could afford, rather, based on the time to chat about part 2 on this episode. Yeah, TMC season 1, episode 5, right?
Please mention I'm the first girl for season
2. I already did, but anyway, Phathu wants me to mention that she is the first lady to grace us with her presence, more TMC, and siyayithanda. She added a little bit of spark, and she added so much knowledge. And I really want to say, from myself and everybody at TMC, all the best for your future endeavors, and we are rooting for you to put on that red gown.
Correct. Thank you, director, doctor. What do I?
No worries. Sure, Phathu, thank you so much for watching this episode. If you stayed up to this far, it means you liked it. So show us by liking it for real. Let us know in the comment section what is it that you have learned from this episode. But for me, what I have learned is that always analyze how you move. Know your data so you can make better decisions, and speak positive stuff over your life, because the power of what you speak is so
It's going to manifest in your life.
Absolutely, it's going to manifest. So, yeah, Phathu, from myself, everybody at TMC, we would like to urge you to stay curious and stay dangerous. Until the next episode, bye.
Bye.